A very happy morning, ladies and gentlemen. I hope all of you are healthy and safe at home. Wherever be you are, there are no barriers to acquire knowledge. Hope you are listening to me regularly and revising the topics also. Let me welcome you to the 31st session BA History program, second semester. I am Sudhaji, Assistant Professor, Department of History, GFGC, Ripanpet. Before beginning the session, just to know your previous knowledge, let me ask you a question. Could you define communal harmony? Yes. If people of a country of different religions, caste, creeds, and different backgrounds live together in the society with love and peace among them, it is called communal harmony. Now, can you tell the Mughal ruler who strived to achieve communal harmony in Mughal Empire? Yes, you are right. He was Akbar the Great. Today, in this session, let us learn about religious policy of Akbar. Students have learnt about early life and conquests of Akbar in India. They also learnt about the diplomacy of Akbar behind his Rajput policy and its impact on Mughal's government. Learning objectives of today's session: to enable the students to understand the influence of heredity and environment on Akbar's religious views, to make them to understand the spiritual awakening experienced by Akbar. They will identify the measures taken by Akbar as a part of his religious policy, to teach about the impact of his religious policy on Mughal Empire. Learning outcomes: at the end of the session, students will find out the reasons for the Catholic view of Akbar in religious matter. They will appreciate the initiatives taken by Akbar to abolish some unjust laws and framing of a few new. They will come out with new ideas to develop communal harmony. To begin with, Akbar was influenced by his parents in religious matter. You can ask me a question: how? Akbar was born and brought up in comparatively liberal surroundings. His father Humayun was a Mughal Sunni. His mother Hamida Banu Begum was a Persian Shia lady. And he was born and brought up in Rana Virsal of Amarkot, who was a Hindu. His guardian Bairam Khan was also a Shia Muslim. In addition to these persons, Akbar was also influenced by Abdul Latif, his tutor, who was a liberal religious minded person. He taught Akbar Suleh-i-Kul, which means universal peace. In this way, Akbar was influenced by his family members, his heredity and environment combined to influence Akbar's religious views in the direction of liberalism. Let us move on to know about his early spiritual experience. Even before Akbar was 20, he abolished the pernicious, that means destructive, hanikaraka, the destructive practice of enslaving. Enslaving means adiyalu, slave, enslaving the prisoners of war and converting them to Islam by force. Profoundly religious, in the correct sense of the term, he often pondered over the problems of life and death, and on completing his 20th year, he was seized with remorse caused by the difficulty of reconciling religion with politics. He has experienced an internal bitterness, and from the lack of spiritual provision for his last journey, his soul was seized with exceeding sorrow. This spiritual awakening became responsible for the abolition of tax in 1563 on Hindu pilgrims visiting their holy shrines in all parts of his empire. The next year, in 1564, a more revolutionary measure was enacted. Do you know what was that? It was the abolition of the hated jizya or poll tax on non Muslims, which all previous Turco Afghan sultans and even his father Humayun and grandfather Babur had taught it a religious duty to realize. It is really an appreciable measure taken by Akbar. Now, let us focus on his religious policy. Akbar sought the company of Muslim religious men and every year devoutly performed the pilgrimage to the mausoleum of Sheikh Moinuddin Chishti at Ajmer in Rajasthan. He possessed of an inquisitive bent of mind, a desire to understand the principles of his religion. With this object in view, early in 1575, Akbar erected a building at Fatehpur Sikri called Ibadat Khana, which means Hall of Prayer, in which regular religious discussions were held on Thursday evenings. In the beginning, the debates were confined to the Muslims, sheikhs, sayyids, the ulema, and other Muslim nobles. Later, in the second stage of the evolution of Akbar's religious ideas, his belief in Orthodox Islam was shaken. He threw open the debates to members of other faiths such as Hindus, Jains, Zoroastrians, and Christians. Akbar was influenced by the Sufi saints and Bhakti cult chief exponents like Kabir, Nanak, and all. Invited missionaries at Goa to his court and permitted to establish church at Cambay too. He was influenced by Jain scholars Hira Vijay Suri and Jinachandra Suri, from whom he had learnt about non-violence. Hence, in 1581, Akbar prohibited the slaughter of sheep and horses. He stopped taking meat and hunting. Akbar was influenced by Parsi religion, so he started respecting sun and fire. Akbar also developed faith in the Hindu principles of karma and transmigration of soul. Dear students, you have learned that Akbar took various measures to abolish many unjust taxes. Example, abolition of pilgrim tax in 1563, abolition of jizya tax in 1564. Let us now learn about the religious policy followed in India. The preamble of the Indian Constitution has the word called secular, which has been added in 1976 as per the 42nd Amendment, which includes articles from 25 to 28, implying that the state will not discriminate, patronize any religion. This information will be helpful for you while facing the NET examination. So listen to me carefully. Article 25 guarantees the freedom of conscience and free profess, practice and propagation of religion. Article 26 gives every religious group a right to establish and maintain institutions for religious and charitable purposes, manage its affairs, properties as per the law. Article 27 guarantees the freedom as a payment of taxes for promotion of any particular religion. No person shall be compelled to pay any tax. Just like jizya tax, we need not to pay any tax here for the promotion or maintenance of any particular religion or religious denomination. And Article 28 of the Indian Constitution instructs no religious instructions shall be provided in any educational institution wholly maintained out of state funds. You can just compare the secular government, and with that of the government of Akbar, where he has followed the religious policy which was so liberal during the medieval India. Let us know about Akbar's religious policy was the result of his political motives. To have loyal allies, example with Rajputs, Rajput became his relatives, hence he respected Hindus to gain sympathy of the majority of the Hindus. His policy was based on equality of all religions. His policy led to the abolition of unjust laws, framing of a few new. It resulted in the infallibility decree, ultimately culminated in Din Ilahi, that is called divine faith. Let us now know about the measures taken by Akbar for promoting religious harmony. Equal treatment with subjects of all faiths, matrimonial alliances with Hindus, employment of Hindus at higher posts, freedom of worship to all. He abolished Islam as the religion of the state. He established a new religion called Din Ilahi. Now, I would like to serve food for your thought. Since the partition of India, so many people have been killed and uprooted as a result of communal violence. The Hindu Muslim conflict continues and persists even today. Their problem is predominantly religion. Now, being a student of history, can you tell me how can we develop communal harmony in India? What are the steps we can take just like Akbar in today's condition? Think and tell me later in my next class, right? Let us move on to the next slide. That is impact of Akbar's religious policy. Obviously, when his religious policy is liberal, its impact would be also very good. Let us know one by one. Mughal Empire became strong because of his liberal religious policy. It also developed environment of goodwill and many social reforms took place. Cultural unity was emerged between Hindu Muslims. Akbar got the credit of being a national king. He guaranteed peace to all people of all faiths. Sarva Dharma Samanvaya. Let us summarize the religious policy of Akbar. After learning all the measures taken by Akbar to promote communal harmony, in the modern age, Akbar was the first and almost the greatest experimenter in the field of religious toleration. If the scope of his toleration, the races to which it was applied, and the contemporary conditions be taken into account. Before winding the session, let us have a quick recapitulation of the main points what we have learnt in this session. The persons who influenced Akbar's religious views, early spiritual experiences of Akbar, his religious policy, measures taken for religious harmony, and impact of his religious policy on Mughal Empire. As usual, unless you revise at home after learning, howsoever you may be keen, chances are there you may forget. Hence, I would like to assign you a work. Explain the religious policy of Akbar and its impact on Mughal Empire. The books which I have referred to prepare my talk are History of Medieval India by S.P. Sharma, The Mughal Empire by Ashirbadi Lal Srivastava, and selfstudyhistory.com. Hope you would have enjoyed the session. Thank you, one and all.